folk, I am back, your chestnut fairy. Today is a special occasion because I found something truly amazing in the thrift store. It is an old vest. I already cut it, so I will show it in a picture. But it's great, it's beautiful, and I think Wizard died in this or something like that because it looks so unique and I never find something like this in a thrift store. So I thought this must be a sign and I bought it. It costed €8 and I want to make something out of this, and I thought this looks like a corset, more likely stays. Stays were the undergarments that were worn before a corset, so I will hopefully do them correctly, and let's start. The first thing you're gonna do when you start this project is to grab your laptop and look at references. I also put on a good show. I recently started to watch Nana and I totally understand her and will recommend this show. Who wouldn't go to an art school just to fall in love and have a dramatic but very cool friendship? I am only a few episodes on, but I love it. Anyways, I based the pattern on a few stays that I know from the 18th century, but looking back I should make the font wider. If you're interested, you can also make Tudor stays this way. Just keep in mind that they have a different body form that I want to achieve. Stays are usually way flatter and just shape your body very small. You can see it on a lot of portraits from Queen Elizabeth as example. Stays from the 17th century, on the other hand, are a bit different shaped. They have a crescent moon upper part. You can see the chest more than in a Tudor corset. After finding your references, just use a piece of paper and start drawing what your stays could look like. I'm just messing around here. I already made mine, but I forgot to film. It is very funny. I always make my patterns this way and then make a mock-up, which is very easy. Just grab old fabric that you don't need, maybe a curtain, and then you trace your pattern on that. Afterwards you can change a few things and just draw the complete pattern again on your normal used fabric. I also wanted to say that I know that it isn't a corset, however a lot of people know it as a corset top because of the trend that was around the cottagecore era, so I just wanted to use it like that so more people know the term. So originally it is stays and it will stay stays, and hopefully more people know that way. I also wanted to note that I already own a lot of stays, sometimes traditional German stays that are called Mieder, and I also have a few from different websites that I will later maybe show in my videos. You can see some of them already. They are amazing and give you a very interesting addition to your outfits, so just try them. After cutting at least 2 pieces for each pattern part, so you have enough support, go to your sewing machine and use it. Mine is from the 20th century. It is very old, I think over 100 years old. You can also use a thing with electricity, it's fine. I am just very extra. What is also interesting about the sewing machine is that I don't get this weird back pain that you always get when sewing. Okay, back to the sewing part. After you have your fabric, you sew it together, but leave the bottom and the top open, so you can later add the boning and the boning tubes. My stays will be summer stays, which means they are with lighter fabric. I used a stiff cotton fabric and the fabric I got from the thrift store. If you want more support, you can use a third layer. Just sew the outer layer and your inner layer together, so you can treat them as one. You need to baste them first together, so it is easier to use them and sew them together. It is an old technique already used by the Victorians to sew more complicated things like a bodice or a corset. After sewing everything together, I started to transfer the boning pattern. Because I just had references, I tried a few things and then decided that I will make a half-boned pair of stays. This means that I will fully put boning in, but it will give great support anyways. first day started with sewing the boning tubes, which means just sew along the marked lines. After a while I made all the boning tubes, and then it was time for the boning itself. Like every chaotic but very creative person, I used zip ties. You can just grab them from your dad's garage and use them. He didn't need them, so it was okay. And you also sand them down, but I just burned them because it will melt. It is not the best method, but this is just a practice piece that I want to have because I will make a bit more complicated corset later that you will probably see. It is for a costume, and this one is just for fun. So it's more about experimenting and learning and getting to know the different kind of things. When you have a little bit of money, you can buy synthetic whalebone. I hope I said it correctly. I think I'm halfway done. I don't know. But here she is in all her glory. Ta-da! As you can see, I finished all the boning tubes, and right now I didn't sew anything together, and this is what I'm going to do now. I was afraid it was too big, but when I put it together, it looks very structured and boned. And I'm very happy right now that it looks so good. Look at it, there are so many zip ties in this. There was the big project, the very chaotic part, because I suck at sewing with my hand. I just wanted to make it with a machine, but my needles broke, so I decided I had to do it this way, which is not good because I am really bad. But I kinda made it, it's okay, but some parts I learned that I made the boning too big, so it was a bit complicated. The next thing I did was to prepare the lacing part, so the back part of my corset top. I just shoved a pencil through it so I get the same sized holes at each size and then started to sew them together. You may think that the holes are pretty small, but they are wide enough so I can put my ribbons through. And with that, my long but chaotic way to make a corset ended. So I think it's time for a reveal. So it is done. I am very pleased to see how it looks. I think I gave it a new life, and that's beautiful. So let's review what I've done. I think it's good that I did it, and I think it's good that I used it as a corset. However, there are a few problems. This is polyester, which is not the best thing to wear, but it is reused, so it is kind of okay. Still, for a good corset, please take quality fabric. Not like me, I am poor. I also think I should have used a pattern in this case because at some part it is a little bit loose and I had to resew it again. But it is also because of the boning structure that I made, so it is my mistake and you can definitely change that. So don't worry about it. You can make a corset without a pattern. When you look back, people didn't have a sewing pattern, so it can't be that hard even if it looks hard. Later there were corset manufacturers, and of course there are seamstresses and seamster. I don't know the English term. Anyways, there are people that sew your clothing and your corsets professionally. You can make it, but you make it a little bit more professional like me. My grandma isn't very proud of me right now. Joke aside, I think the upper part is good. I like the straps, and I think I would make them a little bit bigger because I have very broad shoulders, so it looks kind of off. I think you can make them smaller or wider, just like you like. I already used it, so I think it's a good thing when you sew something and then wear it, because that is the most important thing. So if I could change anything, I would make this smaller, because right now it looks wide. I don't like that, but in general I like the idea, and I think it's a very beautiful fabric to use. Just don't use polyester. But the inside is old fabric, so that is good. And you have to sew a little bit by hand, and I should work on that, because my other project will be a corset, or stays. So hopefully we'll do it better this time. And I think that's all. I will see you in the next video. Bye!